Something is always better than nothing.
I like
Something
that.
is always better than nothing. A little movement is better than none, and a little progress is better than none.
Yep.
And you would know about that progress if you did what?
Videoed or took notes. Imagine.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dog Sense. I'm your host, Kathy Santo, and I'm here with Stacey Samela. Yay!
Woo!
Stacey and I have been trained together. I want to say forever, but it feels like forever. But actually,
in a good way.
Oh, like 11 years, but you were training dogs before that. And so we see each other at school every single day.
Don't forget to say about the little school.
Oh, okay. At the little school in Ramsey, that's where we started together. And now we're in the behemoth school in Waldwick.
Where we get lost daily, chasing each other from one room to the other.
And Sarah used to be at the little school in Ramsey.
I was at the little school.
Now she's at her own school in Colorado.
Yay, Sarah.
Awesome. All right, guys. So today we are covering training tips for cautious canines. So what we mean by that is dogs who might be scared or nervous, that don't have a ton of confidence when they're kind of exposed to things in the world. It also could be things in the house too, but basically it's a dog who they don't have a lot of optimism when they look at the world, right? They're nervous, they're scared, they're maybe displaying fearful behaviors.
And I just want to jump in and say right off the bat, let's not label the dogs. We as trainers will label the dog. We'll do it for you. And you can tell us what the problems are. But could you please stop referring to your dog at every introduction? This is my shy dog. It's my fearful dog. Like, this is my dog who's growing his competence in being optimistic, right? This is my dog who is seeing the world in a better light. He's working on it, right? But I feel like when you say that, people respond to it in a way that you don't like. And amazingly, when you say this is my shy dog, they're like, oh, and they reach for the dog. What the hell?
I love it.
Don't do that. Like, right?
So annoying.
Makes it scarier.
Dogs love me. Oh no, she won't be nervous of me. Dogs love me, as they reach for their face. Like, no.
Far better to say, this is my dog, Gigi.
Period. Done. End of story.
End of it.
Yep. Oh, we could say breed, right? She's a Labradoodle or she's a Shih Tzu.
You could. Yeah. You could say
That's a good thing.
Yeah. She's brown. It's my dog. She's brown.
Yeah, but it's really helpful when you can phrase it like that, though. Because if you say to someone, a stranger, right? A lot of times if I'm out with puppies, I'll say, hey, we're working on not jumping on our greetings, right? Then I'll stand on the leash. A lot of times they almost want to help you a little bit more. They then want to help a bit more instead of just sabotaging all of your training and doing whatever the heck they want.
And it's also their filter too. And then you say, this is my dog. She's a little shy. She had a bad experience. Oh, now we're going down the story time.
Yes.
And then they're like, oh my God, I had a dog like that. She never recovered. And now you're like, oh no.
Right. Pessimism City. Thanks so much.
Stop talking to people. That's it.
All right. So two areas that we're going to focus on with this. So the importance of building confidence in your dog, but also in their faith in you as their handler, right? So it's about building that relationship together. So one of the systems that you guys use at the school is the canine gym stuff, right? So if you guys want to go over how do you use that with a fearful, nervous dog, what are the steps and kind of what kind of success are you guys seeing when you're able to use that to help build their confidence?
Go for it.
Well, I start every cautious canines class with some of the canine gym equipment. And I'm always amazed that for most dogs on the first day, even if they are eating, and some don't eat for several classes.
Right.
Explain to them
what
eating means. What do you mean? Taking treats.
Stress level, can be displayed in many different ways, but most dogs, if they're really stressed, are not going to take any treats. Right. So it could take several visits to the class before they'll actually take treats, even roast beef or chicken.
It's like people who are stressed.
That's right.
They don't eat.
They can't eat.
I can't relate.
Can't do it. So once they are eating, we can get them to follow a treat. We usually have to start with an inanimate, non-moving object, right? Because some of the canine gym stuff has air in it. It's unstable. So we use the climb platforms, which are stable and sturdy, low with no legs. When they're willing to step on that, we can start working with the canine gym bones and discs, because they often will just keep avoiding. It's scary. I'm scared of it. I don't know what it is. I don't want to try it. And building that confidence in you and the environment. I love seeing the dog when they first put their foot on it and they're like, I didn't die.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yep.
Oh my God. And I got roast beef, right? And then they try it again and again and again. Wow.
I want to paint a visual picture for those people who don't know what canine gym equipment is.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I got it behind me.
Oh, there you go. And some of them have bumps on them, right? And some of them, we can underinflate them and make it easier. We can overinflate them, not to popping.
Right.
And they're a little bit more wobbly. There's discs like the one Sarah is holding up.
For our YouTube listeners, this is a disc.
Yes, there you go. And there's many different manufacturers. And if you Google or however you search canine gym equipment, and you could put inflatable, and there's rocker boards. There's just a lot of things. And but Sarah, and we've talked about this before, we have an episode on doing this kind of fitness stuff at home. And we teach you all the ways you can do this with the equipment you actually have, so you don't have to go out and purchase them.
So another big one too is I'll have owners go to like the playground, right? So go to the playground when there aren't any kids around, go to a park and just practice working through. It is like Stacey had mentioned, right? It's so awesome to see these dogs build their confidence. They were terrified. They couldn't step onto the little end of the slide at the playground or something. To see them work through that. And you guys are working it through together. That team environment between you and the dog, that's what's building their confidence. They're like, all right, with mom's with me, like I can do this. We've got this. I can, and then we can then expand that out to other things in the world, right? So right now it's just, I need you to put your paws on this weird surface, right? But eventually it's, I need you to walk past that weird garbage can that's making a funky noise, right? Or I need you to walk past that man who has a cane and he looks weird or he looks awkward while he's walking, right? That kind of stuff. So just building the confidence like that, you don't have to have all that inflatable stuff. There are tons of things in your environment that you could use.
And it's also building trust. I would never ask you to do this if it would hurt you, right? And so I need you to feel optimistic about my role, because probably some people have done things to their dog that didn't result in the dog feeling really good. Like putting them in a position that they said, well, you have to do this.
Right.
And the dog was like, I don't wanna. And then you are now not their protector. You are now the person who says you have to do it. Now, granted, there are things your dog has to do. They have to get their nails clipped. They have to get vaccinated. There are things that even though they're cautious, it has to be like, dude, you got to do it. You got to get through it. We're going to get through it together, but I can't, recondition this behavior for the next 8 months before you get, your nails clipped. It's not going to work. So that aside, there are times when people have put their dogs in situations not needed where they've had bad responses. So this builds that teamwork and that trust again.
Yeah. And I think it's, especially when we're in the classroom setting, there's a new student, they're always so overwhelmed and like, my dog did terrible today, and it's so cool to have other people in class that are like, dude, my dog didn't take a treat for 5 classes. And, like they say, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Rule number 1, you didn't die today.
Yeah. We are good.
The garbage can did not actually kill you. And even if they won't take treats near the garbage can, after we walk away, we can have a party. Like I said, it's just like team building, this is a whole different market.
This is child raising right here. Like we can just package this for child raising.
It's
too.
true.
All right, let's talk about visual barriers. So visual barriers are when there's going to be something your dog is going to get stressed out by. So if it's in the house, let's say you have your dog in a gated community with the baby gates or the pens or the crates. You can put something over it so the dog isn't going to see the thing that terrifies him. If you are on a walk and you're like, oh my gosh, she's going to blow up about that, go behind a car, go behind a tree, turn your back, go the other direction. And in a car, I think what's important is people know that hopefully your dog is traveling in a crate, that you can cover the crate and take away that visual. I remember a dog I had, she would lose her mind in her seatbelt at motorcycles.
Those are rough.
And but when I covered it, covered her in the crate. So much better. And she still heard it. So we knew it wasn't a sound trigger. It was a movement trigger. The visual barriers win the day.
All right. So the first step here is we love to use a variety of different things to help build some confidence in the dog with us, kind of build that teamwork. What are then some achievable goals that owners could start to work towards with their scared or nervous dog, right? So what are some things that like a realistic expectation they could have when training?
Take it slow, man. Like this is not a fast process. You know how it was teaching your dog to sit or down?
Right.
It's much harder than that. Much harder in a different way. The time that it takes is longer, but also if you don't pick up on things that you might be cueing fear or you might be rewarding fear,
Right.
then it's going to be even slower. It requires a combination of your skill as a trainer or your skill in taking the notes that your trainer is giving you and your self-awareness.
Right.
Because I think people don't have that. They're so focused on the dog. Understandably, the dog is upset and then they're not breathing and their shoulders are up and they got the leash, right? So I think that you have to understand that the process is going to be slow and therefore you should take it slow and just plan on that.
And do some, self-reflection, right? After you go through it, say, okay, what could I have done better? What do I want to do different next time? What worked well and what didn't? And I can't believe that Kathy hasn't said it yet.
I know.
Take notes.
I know. I was waiting.
Board. Let's go all out. Voice memos, right? Like you can't possibly remember everything, right? So taking notes is a good way. I think it is a good way of saying, I want to try this next time. Like literally write it down.
Yeah.
I found a handwritten notebook from 1987 that I wrote about my first dog, Opal. Oh my gosh. I've been a note taker forever, but I don't know how you can measure progress if you don't write down what's happening. I don't know how you can know all the triggers if you don't write down what they are. Yeah. So I was waiting.
Oh, you were saving it. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I stole it from you.
No. I was going to get really excited about it. I wanted to be at the end where Sarah wouldn't let me go off into the rabbit patch.
Got it.
All right. Well, another really important part of that too is taking videos as well, right? So if you can set up a little camera while you guys are at the park, one of the biggest things too is people think that they're consoling their dog by petting them while they're a little bit nervous or scared, right? That's a big one. And we understand where like the human part of that's coming from, right? You want to let them know that you're there for them, all that, but you can inadvertently be rewarding that behavior and you might not even realize you're doing it. So that's why videoing your sessions too, you can pick up on those little cues or those small things that you didn't even realize you were doing so that next time you can then go back and fix them.
Just get the cam that you put on your body, like body cam yourself.
I could prop your phone up against a tree or something while you're at the park. You guys are sitting on a bench and just watch how your dog's body language will tell you so much and yours as well as to how the training session's going.
Make sure that you're marking the visual look, right? So the dog's like, there's something I'm usually terrified of. Oh, meatball.
Yep.
Right. And the dog is like,
meatball to the face.
Meatball. Seriously, like I'm sitting there and when I see them, I'm like, nice. And I'm feeding them. Again, feed them calmly. Don't be like, wow, yeah. The dog is like, okay, I'm stressed. Now she's too excited. It's making me stressed. Also, take into account your dog's day.
Yep.
So if you're going to train and you get up in the morning and your power is out and you have a flat tire and you get it fixed and you still get the dog to the vet and you get back and now your bucket is full and the dog's bucket is full and yours and the dog's group bucket is full. And now you're like, I'm going to go take him somewhere and work on his fear issues.
Right.
Bad idea. Probably don't do that. Probably just go watch Netflix or sit on the couch and cry together. But make sure you're saying, I have this plan. What is my dog's current state of emotion? And what is my current state of emotion? And is this going to be a good time to actually do it? Because I want people to know they can walk away from their plan.
Absolutely. Right. And for those of you that don't possibly know what Kathy's talking about in terms of buckets, it's that concept that stress layers, right? So if you had a few stressful things during the day, that bucket starts to fill up and your ability to deal with stress gets lower as the bucket fills up.
And the bucket drains, right? And we should do a whole episode on this, I think.
You haven't already?
I know. I did
my God.
I did it for the school. I'll do one on this. Yeah, I'll do one for the podcast peeps.
Okay.
But, they can drain. So they can have a bad moment or two and then go home and rest and take a nap and shake off, drain, and they're fine. But if they don't have that opportunity or it's happening too slowly and you add another trigger on it, you're going to find that the problem you're trying to fix is actually going to get worse.
And this is a good time to mention the concept of how do we release stress? Movement is so important. I am always nagging people in class, keep the dog moving, even if it's just 2 or 3 feet to the left or the right, even if you have to lure them to follow a treat, don't let them freeze. Know that getting them to move dissipates stress. Being still increases that stress. Being able to facilitate even getting them a little into play or moving so they could shake off and let go some of that.
And your dog is either an active stressor or a passive stressor, right? So an active stressor on a dog is a lungy, pulley, trying to run away even, right? That's active. And a passive stressor is sitting there just dying inside. I actually worry about the passive stressors because I think there's dogs who are very stressed out all the time and their owners don't know
They
it.
have no
They're
idea.
like, my dog is great. He's so quiet. Oh my God, he's dying inside.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not that. And so with people, a passive stressor looks like that, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And an active stressor, gets stressed out and cleans the whole house. Right. And then makes meals for a week. That's me. That's me. All of us. That's why we get along. And in dogs, what you have to do, we know that movement dissipates stress. Yeah. And we know that stress hormone moves through the body more when there's movement that happens. And so like Stacey said, move, do figure eights, back up, lateral movement, like whatever you can, get the dog to move so they're not sitting there obsessing on it.
Oh my gosh. My new favorite thing. Something is always better than nothing.
I like that.
Is always better than nothing. A little movement is better than none. And a little progress is better than none.
Yep.
And you would know about that progress if you did what?
Videoed or took notes. Imagine. There you go. Nice job. High five. Woo! Virtual
Looping
high
it all
five.
together.
Yeah. There you go. Nice.
All right. So overall, kind of the things that we're talking about there. So you don't want to overexpose or flood your dog, right? If they're like Kathy always gives the example of like, if you're afraid of spiders, we're not going to cover you in tarantulas, right? To remove that fear of spiders, right? Other things too is you can create those scary things in an environment that they feel safe in to help build up to them being able to walk past that scary thing in a new environment. Biggest things a lot of times we talk about like YouTubing certain sounds, right? If your dog is terrified of the garbage truck, of fireworks, whatever, of other dogs barking even, right? If your dog is really scared of other dogs barking, you can find those soundtracks on YouTube or whatever, play them around the house at the lower volumes to help your dog start to create a new conditioned response to this in an environment where they do feel safe and comfortable. We can build up their confidence there before we then bring it out into the world or into a new environment where they may not be as confident.
And remember that there's a lot of research that shows a comorbidity with fear of sounds and sound sensitivity to other issues. So most likely that dog has separation anxiety. Most likely that dog has another hardwired concern or fear or phobia that is going to drive all of this behavior, right?
That's
so
true.
A dog who's afraid of sounds and then you're not in the house with him and he hears that sound and you're gone, it just is a double trigger. Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
One of the tricks that I found recently, especially for dogs that are sound sensitive, is okay, so we know you're afraid of A, B, and C sounds. Maybe we start with a sound you have no association with, right?
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
if you're using YouTube, right? You might hook up to your Bluetooth speaker, of course, keep it at a lower volume, and start with some sounds they've never heard, right?
Yep.
Like a chicken crowing.
Yep.
How many of our dogs in northern New Jersey have heard that, right? Build a pattern of fun and playing and movement and food when I play the chicken noise, right? And so we start to build lots of positive for audio sounds that don't already have a negative association. Yeah. And then we can lead into the problematic ones.
Now, this all leads back to, is your dog an optimist or a pessimist? And there's actually a study done very similar to that. And when we talk about studies, we're using the research that they created. We don't always agree with the studies, right? So they would play a sound. And if the dog would step on this pedal, for lack of a better word, he would get a high value treat. Let's say roast beef. The Bing gets roast beef. They played and so that was perfect. Then they played a new sound. And when they played the new sound, if the dog stepped on the pedal, they would get an electric shock. Not high. Right. It was like if you touched the wall, right? Static. Sure. So it's something they didn't like.
Sure.
And they got it to the point where every time this sound happened, they would step on it and get roast beef 100% of the time. And every time this sound happened, they would never step on it, right? You know what they did after that? They played a sound in the middle.
Oh my.
The optimistic dogs would step on that button.
They would assume I'm going to get fed.
It's kind of similar.
Wow.
The pessimistic dogs would be like, no way am I touching that button.
I don't trust it.
It was a great study that talked about optimism in dogs. Like if they were a natural, like Ray, right? Ray be stepping on the button for every sound. Right? And then like Val would not go near the button, maybe ever,
right?
When he had a negative, right? So that's what you're talking about that sound. So if you have an optimist, you're probably good in playing sounds that are similar but different. But if you have a pessimist, you got to play something way on the other side of the spectrum because they're probably going to hear it and go, no, I don't know
I'm
about
not so
that.
sure about that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Optimism, pessimism plays into every single issue that we have.
Amen.
Yeah. And then also the last thing too is just the dog makes the timeline, right? They're not on our schedule, right? I know you want this fixed like yesterday, right? But you have to go at the pace of your dog and what they can handle. This isn't going to get fixed in just a couple of days. Most likely you're going to have to put in the time and the effort to help get the dog through this.
Wait, I have a story. The woman whose dog was terrified of a vacuum. And she said to me, I have 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, they're cutting down all these big trees in the front of my house because I'm building an addition. So he needs to be okay with the noise. I'm like, board the dog.
Yeah.
Board him.
Yeah. Unrealistic expectation.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you ever, I mean, and think about something you're afraid of.
Sure.
If you're like hardwired terrified of it, are you going to be better in 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Probably not.
Hey, we are awesome dog trainers, but we are not that awesome. Miracles like that are unachievable.
It's time
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
Time travel. So in 2 weeks, AKA a year, my dog should be able to handle the lumberjacks. And like, why even do it?
Yeah.
And then
It's
900
unrealistic
days.
expectations for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair to you as the owner, right? It's not fair to put that stress and that pressure on yourself. And it's also just as not fair to put that pressure on the dog as well to try to get it done more quickly than they're able to handle it.
Exactly. Make both of your lives more peaceful, more optimistic. And if you have a situation like that, maybe the dog shouldn't be in the environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
All right, guys, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love you to like, rate, subscribe, tell a friend, and share this episode with people who need to hear it. These episodes are also available on multiple platforms like YouTube if you wanted to check us out there as well. Our mission with this podcast is to continue creating an awesome community of dog lovers and learners. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.